This is probably the most anxious that I've ever felt about any videos that I've made on YouTube. This is something very, very, very dear to my heart. It's not a part of myself that I really care to share about. But when it can help the life of another person, and when they can see me say it to them, rather than just hear it, read it in words, it's worth putting it out there. So, okay. I'm making this for a friend on Facebook. She knows who she is. I don't have to say, and nobody needs to know who. Let's see. July of 2009, I guess. Things had begun to get really difficult for me, and I had relapsed back into eating disorder behaviors, and I got back into the whole world of pro-ana, and I was around these two beautiful little girls. At the time, they were 3 and 6, I believe. I could be wrong, but that's not very important. And I loved these little girls so much. And the more that I watched them and the more that I saw them, the more I wished so bad that I could stop what I was doing. But I didn't know how to stop, and I had been to treatment. I went to rehab, and I just kept falling short. And I didn't know what to do. And the people that I was living with, they couldn't do it anymore. And they said, look, with what they said it in totally different words, but I'm not going to share that. But basically, with what you're doing, you're not going to live in this house. And I had a week to get out, and so my aunt and uncle, they took me in and they took me under their wings, opposed to what anybody else thought, because they believed something and they saw something different. And I lived with them, and I couldn't stop. Even seeing these 2 precious little girls, I still couldn't stop. No matter how much my aunt and uncle didn't say anything or criticize me, I still couldn't stop. So between just a short period of time, it's all I could do, it's all I could think about was Anna, 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 Anna. And I couldn't get away, I couldn't sleep, and whenever I did sleep, she was there. No matter what I did, she was there, and I couldn't get away, I couldn't stop. I wanted to stop, but I didn't. I wasn't even sure anymore if it was worth trying to stop, even though something deep inside me knew that it was worth it. And so, desperately, I saw and I saw and I saw and I saw and I sought for something different. I sought for something more, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't get away. I couldn't seem to do anything. And I couldn't even eat a peach without going and purging it, or 3 cherries without taking laxatives. And even if I did purge it, I still took the laxatives, and day after day, and these beautiful little girls stood in front of me, and this is the example that I was being to them, and they looked up to me, and I just saw all this around me, and it just seemed so hopeless that anything could ever happen, anything could ever change. I was certain that I had defiled things to the worst, and that it was the end, and that there was no turning back, because I had got so drawn into this that it was literally every piece of my life. Literally, when people were away, it was worse, I thought, but then that began to change, and it was just so overwhelming that I started thinking, can I just sleep? Can I just sleep? I just want to go to sleep. Maybe I can get away from this. But I couldn't do that. And then it got to the point that I was like, maybe I can just take something to help me sleep. That's all I'm going to do. And I fought it for weeks until one day I couldn't fight it anymore. And I went just to take a few pills so that I could go to sleep. Maybe they would make me drowsy and I would fall asleep and I could forget everything because I couldn't get away from Anna and I couldn't decide what was worse, some of the stuff going on in my life or Anna. But by this time, I knew that it was Anna. Anna is short for anorexia. And so I took him. But what I didn't know that night is because I hadn't eaten for so long, or I hadn't kept food down for so long, that my body didn't know what to do, and I started going into a binge. And some of you know that once you start into a binge with the eating disorder, if you put something in your mouth, that becomes part of your binge. And so these pills, they became part of my binge, and I ended up overdosing on an extreme amount. I almost died because I could have died because of this eating disorder. The eating disorder drove me to this. Thank God that He had His hand on me and that great things came out of the situation. But it breaks my heart today to know that I let something that's not even real. Yes, the struggle was real, but Anna's not real. The goals that you try to go for and the lies that you believe that feed it and cause you to grow and grow and grow into these things, they're not real. It's not worth letting Anna take your life away from you. I know that you already feel dead, and I know that you already feel as if you're worthless and that you've lost everything that you could, that you've done the worst thing that you could ever do, especially if you're a Christian, because you feel like you've totally betrayed God. But the thing is that He never walks away from you. Never. Anyway, through my situation, I was really blessed because I ended up being able to meet somebody while I was in the hospital who had interned for a program, and I was able to get into that program, which I didn't want to do it forever because I said I will never be in another Christian program. But as I began to see the way that this lady lived her life and the way that she talked and the way that she heard me, I was like, something's different about this. So finally I decided to. I had prayed, just not too long before I ended up overdosing on the meds as I was in the binge. I had prayed. I said, God, part of me doesn't want to stop this anymore, and I need your help to want it. So when I got to the hospital, I looked at them after I sat there, and all I could do was talk about it. They were like, are you okay? And all I could do was say, I just want to get this food out of me. The laxatives aren't working yet. I just want to get this food out of me. I was so ashamed to tell them that I had eaten, and all I could think about was getting rid of what I had eaten. All I could think about was the shame of telling somebody that I had ate. And that's not the way that life's supposed to be. It's not the way it's supposed to be at all. Anyway, so as I was saying, I watched this girl and I knew something was different. And so God answered my prayer. I told Him, I said, make me want it whether I do it not. And for the first time ever when I got into this program, I questioned, am I really ready for this? Very first time. And you know what? This is the first time that everything has ended up different in the end. This is the first time that I know that there's hope. Do I get scared crapless sometimes? Absolutely. I get so scared sometimes because Anna is all I've ever known. I spent more time bonding with this eating disorder than I did any other part of my life or anything at all. Nothing was nearly as close to me. Nothing defined me nearly as much. But in the end, it didn't really define me. All it did was bury and bury and bury and bury the person that I truly am deep within inside. And there was a fighter in me, there was a warrior in me that was ready to rise up and say, I'm taking this battle. And I'm going in there, no matter whether I believe I can do it or not. You don't have to believe you can do it to do it. Do you really think whenever, was it Paul? Peter? Whichever one, I don't know. My mind slips it right now. Anyway, do you really think that whenever he went to go walk on water, he thought, hey, I can do this. I got this all under control. No, he looked at God and then he knew. And some of you that are watching this, maybe you're not believers. But there's more still within you, whether you're a believer or you're not a believer, than you realize. And it's not something that you can create. It's not something that you can put there. It's something that has been birthed within inside of you. It's part of who you are as a creation. Because that's the way that you were created. Nothing that you did on your own. Nothing that you can do on your own. And you know what? It really stinks when you don't have people around you that understand. It really stinks when you have people yelling at you and then it just gets worse. But you know what? Don't use that as an excuse to keep doing what you're doing. Don't use it as an excuse. Use it as a reason to stop. Use it as a reason to show them. Show them what you've got inside of you. Show them that you've got more. Stand up to the plate and let them see that if you have the strength within you, a strength that you can't give yourself, but that was created within you for you to use for good purposes, then they have it too. And they can make a difference. And they can make a change. And they don't have to live in the anger and the frustration and the confusion. So stop letting what everything in your life is telling you bring you to your death. Because many of you want life more than anything, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not, whether you see it or not. There's something in you that desires something that's truly more than what you have. But you have to choose it. I had to choose it. Even when I wasn't sure that I wanted it anymore. I had to choose it. I could probably say a lot more, and maybe I made absolutely no sense. But I believe that each and every one of us is created with an incredible value. We don't make ourselves valuable. We don't make ourselves better. It's not about us. So let's stop making it about us. Yes, you have to focus on you and your life to be able to get the healing that you need. And yes, you need to do it for you. But when it ultimately comes down to it, it's about something so much greater. But you have to decide what that is. don't let it be about physical things. Search your heart.